Greetings for the day. Welcome to another session of Cyber Law and Ethics. My name is Mohammad Rahmat Ali. In today's session, we are going to continue the part wherein we studied about the cyber law. In today's session, we are going to study about what is the importance of cyber law. Do cyber law concern us, and the other topics that comes in the coming slides. But before jumping directly into the topic, let me revise what are the things that we have studied in the previous session. We studied about what is the need of cyber law and what is the importance of cyber law, and do cyber law exist in India, or what is the concern things of cyber law in India. Now, in today's session, we're going to study about the importance of cyber law. Do cyber law has got its own importance, or do we really need to concern about the cyber law? Now the thing here is, as the world and as the technology is getting improved day by day and the people are more dependent on technology, there should be some of the rules and regulations which should monitor all of these things, which should help, or which should we should modulate everything to make it under control. But because the transaction that is happening, the data that is been uploaded, the data which is been downloaded, the data which is to be protected, and the data which should be allocated to only some person should be monitored. There should be some law, or there should be some rules and regulations which will be monitoring all of these things. Now whatever it says here, what is the importance of cyber law? Cyber law is important because it touches almost all the aspect of transaction and activities on and concerning the internet, the World Wide Web, and the cyberspace. Initially, it may seem that cyber law is very technical field and that does not have any bearing to most activities in cyberspace. But the actual truth is that nothing could be further than the truth. Whether we realize it or not, every action and every reaction in cyberspace has some legal and cyber legal perspective. In the sense, like, see, you are watching this video and I requested all of you to post your roll number under this video. If at all, instead of posting your roll number under the video, you start writing some of the other things not with reference to this particular thing, or you start like writing some other irrelevant type of things, this action and reaction has got the legal perspective. The thing that I have told you and the thing that you are doing, both has got the legal perspective. Both have got the legal perspective. For an example, I may not be teaching you the way it is been requested for you, but as I have told you to write only the roll number, you are started writing like, sir, this is the thing we required in the video. Your voice quality is not good, your audio quality is not good. Apart from the roll number, you are writing all of these things. These can be considered, but instead of writing all of these things, you are writing some of the answers of the other subjects like soft computing or other things. This is not been required over here. Or you are writing some of the feedback with reference to the other subjects into my video, then this all of things will have a legal perspective. Similar thing happens with reference to bullying someone on internet, or making fun of somebody, or writing some of the other thing which is one not been related to anyone, or spreading some rumors, or spreading some of the information which is not been related to these things. This all of the things has a thing with reference to cyber law. So this is the reason why cyber law is very much important. This is the importance with reference to the cyber law. Now the next point, or the next thing is, does cyber law concern me? Does cyber law concern me? This is the thing you should understand with reference to the normal thing that happens. Like, see, whenever you are using a vehicle or a car or a two-wheeler, it is obvious that you should carry a driving license. You should carry a driving license. It is been understood. These are the prerequisites. In the same way, when you are using internet, cyber law comes into picture. So yes, cyber law concerns you in every of the aspect whenever you are using internet, whenever you are using the world wide web, or whenever you're using the cyberspace. Cyber law concerns you. Cyber law concerns you. Why? Because if at all if you are making a transaction, if at all if you are commenting on somebody's video, if at all if you are downloading some of the things, if at all if you are visiting any of the websites, it has got its own legal perspective. But because see, as I've been telling you from the last previous session, like there are some of the website, there are some of the application, there are some of the softwares which are not accessible within our territory of within the territory of India. So if at all if you are trying to access those things, that comes under cybercrime. That comes under cybercrime. There are many of the things, not with reference to the downloading of things, visiting websites, or downloading of the things. There are many of the other things. So for that reason, you should be very much well aware of the cyber law, which concerns you, which warns you, which intimates you, which helps you in getting into trouble, or with reference to getting out of the trouble. It helps you. For an instance, like if you want to make a transaction, what you will do, you will go to the bank, you will withdraw the money, or you will deposit the money. But as of now, there are mobile applications being developed with reference to the bank. The bank people tell you to make transaction with reference to the mobile apps. If at all if you are making a transaction and there are some of the things that happens, like somebody has traced your mobile phone, or somebody has compromised your mobile phone, before you insert the OTP, that hacker or that person or the third party has inserted the OTP and has withdrawn the money, then this is under the cyber law. In this way, cyber law will help you. The same thing applies on the other end. If at all if you are trying to compromise somebody's mobile phone, or somebody's personal space, or you are bullying someone, there also you will be caught hold of with your caller stating that you have done cyberbullying. That is under this section, under this law, you have been booked for this case. So in this way, cyber law concerns you in every other aspect when you are using the cyberspace, when you are using the internet. So what this slide says, yes, cyber law does concerns you. As the nature of internet is changing and the new medium is being seen as the ultimate medium ever evolved in human history, every activity of yours in cyberspace can and will have a legal perspective. From the time you register your domain name, to the time you set up your website, to the time you promote your website, to the time when you send and receive emails, to the time you conduct electronic commerce transaction or on a website, at every point of time there are various cyber law issues involved. You might not be bothered about these issues today because you may feel that they are very distant from you and that they do not have an impact on your cyber activities. But sooner or later you will have tightened your belt and take a note of cyber law for your own benefit. This is with reference to the common thing. Like see, the moment you start driving a vehicle, it is been understood that you are carrying your driving license, and the registered certificate of your vehicle. You call it as RC. Now, if at all somebody or some of the authorities catches you or stops you and asks you for the papers, it is the legal right of that police officer and the legal right of yours to show the paper, and it's his legal right to see that paper. If at all if you are not showing that papers to him, he will book a case against you. In the same way, with reference to the cyber law or with reference to the cyberspace, every other time when you are accessing some of the things, you should be well aware of the cyber law. Now the next thing is, what are the advantages of cyber law? With reference to the IT Act 2000 attempts to change outdated laws and provide ways to deal with cyber crimes. We need such laws so that people can perform purchase transaction over the net through credit card without the fear of misuse. The Act offers the much needed legal framework so that information is not denied legal effect. Validity or enforceability solely on the ground that is in the form of electronic records. Now what do you mean by this? This looks somewhat a bit difficult to understand. This says whenever you are making a transaction on the internet, whether you are buying something or whether you are dealing some of the third party, you should record that particular session so that if at all something happens, you will have a legal valid evidence in the court to prove your particular point. In the sense, if at all if your transactions had happened, like I'll give you a small general example. You went you went into an ATM, you inserted your card, you inserted your password, you entered the money, and the money was about to come. At that moment only, the machine got crashed. That machine got crashed. Now, with reference to the transaction that had happened, your transaction is been done. But with reference to money that you have got, with reference to the money that you have got, like you didn't got the money, but from your account the money is been debited. The money is been debited, but you didn't receive the money. In the sense, when the machines get up, or when the electricity come back, or when the ATM machines get up, then only the money will come out, and you don't have the time to wait until that time. So what is the thing that you need to do? At this instance of time, you should take a video or a photograph of that particular scenery, so that you can produce it in with reference to the bank people and say that this is the legal evidence that I have, so that I can get the money back, or you should get the money back. So this is the things with reference to the IT law or IT Act 2000. There are many of the things which comes into this, like, but the main thing is that whenever the thing that is being done, you should have evidence for that. You should have an evidence for that. So that only is the reason you are being given a transaction number, so that if at all the transaction happens, with reference to the transaction number, you can retrieve that particular what you call as evidence, or with reference to the that particular transaction details. The next point it says is, in view of the growth in transaction and communication carried out through electronic records, the Act seeks to empower government departments to accept filing, creating, and retention of official documents in the digital format. The Act has also proposed a legal framework for authentication and origin of electronic records, a communication through digital signatures. And also, like, if at all, if any of the persons, or if any of the father or relatives who are working in the government sector, every of the government people is been given with a digital signature, or a USB is been given as a digital signature for them. Whenever they come to the office, they need to sign in with reference to that particular USB, so that it is been stated that you particularly was present on that particular day. Like with reference to the biometrics, it can be compromised. With reference to the iris, it can be compromised. With reference to the digital signature and your biometric, it is very much, like, less priority or less probability that you can compromise that particular situation. Okay. With reference to your USB, with reference to your digital signature, you should be present at the instance with reference to your biometrics, or with reference to your iris, so that your attendance can be counted on that particular day. So how it is been done? This creates a digital evidence stating that you were present on that day. Instead of this digital things, if at all if I tell you to sign on the paper, if at all if you are not present yesterday, you can sign it out today. You can sign today stating that I was present yesterday, sir, but you didn't see me. You have put me on absent. But with reference to digital things, this is highly, like, difficult to do this particular thing. So this is the advantage with reference to the cyber law. Now the next one is, from the perspective of e-commerce in India, the IT Act 2000 and its provision contains many positive aspects. Firstly, the implication of these provisions for the e-business would be that the email would now be a valid and legal form of communication in our country that can be duly produced and approved in the court of law. Like, see, this is being promoted by the Indian government and many of the reputed companies, stating that if at all something happens to your product, or something happens to your things, you should always put an email first, then should have a video or audio conference or a conversation. See, in the court of law, audio conversation is not being validated. Audio conversation or audio, what you call as things, are not been validated in terms of the court of law. So what you need to do, either you should write an email, or you should write a message on any of the social media stating that this is the thing that I have the problem, and this is the solution that I want. If at all if you are putting an email, it is been considered as a valid evidence. The next point it says is, company shall now be able to carry out electronic commerce using the legal infrastructure provided by the act, like with reference to the email, with reference to any of the digital format. Like, see, whenever you post anything, it will be with reference to the time, date, and the moment you posted it. So it cannot be changed. It cannot be changed. So the same thing has been said over here. The next point is digital signatures have been given legal validity and sanction in the act. The next point says the act throws an open door for the entry of corporate companies in the business of being certifying authorities for issuing digital signature certificates. Now moving forward, it says the act now allows government to issue notification on the web, thus heralding e-governance. Next point says the act enables the companies to file any form, application or any other document with any office, authority, body or agency owned or controlled by the appropriate government in electronic form by means of such electronic forms as be prescribed by the appropriate government. See, if at all if you see all of the things, it states that it is being authorized by the government. The thing that you are doing should be with reference to the government authorities. For an example, you bought a second-hand mobile phone. You bought a second-hand mobile phone from any of the third-party vending websites. If at all if you want to suit a legal notice against the seller, you cannot do it, because that particular person does not have any of the valid proof on that particular website. So what you need to do, you should have a digital or valid evidence while you are having, like when you are having the what do you call as transaction. So that is the reason with reference to the many laws that is been approved with reference to different countries. Now the next one it says is the IT Act also addresses the important issues of security which are so critical to the success of electronic transaction. The Act has been given a legal definition to the concept of secure digital signature that would be required to have been passed through a system of a security procedure as stipulated by the government at a later date. Now, the next point it says is under the IT Act 2000, it shall now be possible for corporates to have a statutory remedy in case of anyone breaks into the computer system or a network and cause damage or copies data. The remedy provided by the IT Act in the form of monetary damage not exceed 1 crore or 1 CR. So this is with reference to the IT Act. Now the next part of the first unit is with reference to the information warfare. Now what do you mean by this information warfare? Information warfare is a thing in which somebody compromises the other system. Somebody compromises the other system to gain some access or to gain some benefits or to gain some the data to like summon the other person or to misuse that particular data. So that is what we call as information warfare. It says information is not new component or to new component to conflict. The information age, however, has ushered in extraordinary improvements in collection, storage, analysis and transmission of information. See, for instance, to tell you what all these things about is, like for an example, I am a faculty of your college and I am teaching you some of the subjects. Now we are from CSC department. The same CSC department faculty now has been transferred from our college to another college, but still he has got some of the access. So what he will do, he will collect all of the information from our college side and he will distribute the same information in another college. So this is what we call as information warfare. Why? Because though he was, until and unless I am a faculty of this college, I should provide all of the services to this particular college. I cannot reproduce the same services to other college. So this is the thing that is being told with reference to the information warfare. This is the thing that I have explained you with reference to a small thing. This happens with reference to different countries, different states, different territories. Now what it further says, defining information warfare. What it says, information warfare is any action to deny, exploit, corrupt or destroy the enemy's information and its function, protecting ourselves against those actions and exploiting our own military information function. This is what you call as information warfare. Further it says direct and indirect information warfare. What it is, direct information warfare deals with the warfare changes the advisory information without involving the intervening perspective and analytical functions. Now, what is indirect information warfare? Indirect information warfare changes the advisory information by creating phenomena that the advisory must then observe and analyze. So, this is the difference between direct and indirect information warfare. Now, what is information warfare past and present? Information warfare is not new phenomena. For centuries, cryptography has been used to conceal and reveal messages. The word cipher is derived from the 7th century Arabic word sifr, which means nothing. Now, further it says two of the more famous information warfare examples include German Enigma machine and the use of Native American code talkers. Now, since 1970s, extraordinary improvements in the technical means of collection of storing, analyzing and transmitting of information have been contributed to code making and code breaking, as well as begun the shift towards a revisionary military affairs. Now, what do you mean by all these things? This means compromising or protecting ourselves is what you call as information warfare. The best example for this is when you are writing your internal examination. When you are writing your internal examination and there is an examiner, the only thing is you need to decrypt your own words to communicate with your friend, as well as see to it that you are not been caught with reference to the faculty. The both thing is called as the same scenario is with reference to the information warfare. I can tell you this is the best example. When you are writing an internal examination, you need to show your answer to your friend, as well as you should not be getting called to the faculty. So that is what you call as information warfare. Now, the other thing further it says the definition, action taken to achieve information superiority in support of national military strategy by affecting advisory information system. This is what you call as information warfare. Now, there are three general categories with reference to the information warfare. The first one is offensive, defensive and exploitation. Now, by the words you can understand what this is all about. Now, the first one is offensive, to deny, corrupt, destroy or exploit advisories information. This is what we call as offensive. You are trying to disturb the class. When you are writing the exam, you are trying to disturb the class. That is what we call as offensive type of information warfare. The second one is with reference to defensive. It says to safeguard ourselves and allies for similar action. Like the first one is you are trying to as you don't know what to write in the examination, you are start disturbing the class so that the faculty will get your attention, so that other people can copy or other people can write the examination. The first way. The second way is with reference to a defensive approach. You are not bothered about what the faculty is doing, but you are only bothered about how I can transfer the answer to my friend. So this is what we call as defensive method. The last one is with reference to exploitation, which says to exploit information in a timely fashion or to enhance our decision action cycle or disrupt the advisory scale. In the sense, see, in this mechanism you will be planning accordingly. One people will be making some noise, the moment I go to that person, the people who are behind me will copy, or in this way the things happen. Other person will be doing something, other person will be doing something. In this way the things happens. So this is what we call as exploitation. So there are three categories with reference to information warfare. The first one is with reference to offensive, the second one is with reference to defensive, and the third one is with reference to the exploitation. Now, the next one is with reference to the Operation Desert Storm. This is the different things that is being done with reference to the information warfare. This is one of the things. which says knocked out communication system attempt to disrupt economy prior to the operations. The next one is UN in Bosnia, which says like knock the communication, disrupt the economy, and propaganda and misinformation with reference to the times. So this is with reference to the example with reference to the information warfare. Now, what constitutes the information warfare? What are the different things with reference to the information warfare? Traditional form of information warfare is, the first one is the psychological operations, the second one is the electronic warfare, the third one is the physical destruction, the fourth one is the security measures, and the last one is the information attack. See, this is very important with reference to your examination and also with reference to your day-to-day lives. So this is like, information warfare is not only with reference to the military things, but also with reference to your own corporate company. If at all, if you want to make a career in your cyber security or with reference to a legal cyber thing, then these things that you need to be well aware of. The first one is with reference to the psychological operation, which says psychological operation uses information to affect enemy's reasoning. Like we can be sure that the global battlefield of 21st century will be over information. The dissemination or withholding of facts, the interpretation of events, the presentation of distortion of ideas and ideologies, and the communication of messages and symbols carefully prepared to provoke a particular reaction, either consequence or unconscious, from a target audience. Now, what do you mean by this? This means that you are showing something and you are acting on some other things. This is what you call as psychological operations. In the sense, you are trying to intrude into the system, but you are actually copying the data of that particular system. Okay, this is what you call as psychological ops or psychological operation that you do. You show one thing and you do some other thing. Or you are trying to unlock a particular thing, but you already have copied that particular thing, or you are changing some particular thing, is called as psychological operations. The next one is with reference to the electronic warfare. Now, what do you mean by this electronic warfare? Electronic warfare, in the sense, electronic warfare denies accurate information to the enemy. In the sense, any military action involving the use of electromagnetic energy to determine, exploit, reduce, or prevent hostile use of electromagnetic spectrum, and the action which retains friendly use of electronic spectrum. The three division with reference to EW or includes electronic countermeasures, electronic countermeasures, and electronic warfare support measures. This is with reference to the electronic warfare. Now the next one is military deception, which says military deception misleads the enemy about our capabilities and intentions. The capabilities and intentions. Now what it says, successful deception causes enemies to derive and accept desired appreciation of military capabilities, intentions, operations, and other activities that invoke foreign action that contributes to the originator's objective. So this is with reference to the military deception. Like, see, if at all if you have seen any of the war movies, there you have seen like the people keeping, or if at all if you have heard about the recent India China and India Pakistan war, therein the people, what they have done is like, there used to be landmines. There are some of the landmines which used to be kept. So what the military people has done is like, there were some of the landmines, like they were not more landmines. Like for an example, the requirement of landmine was 50, but they had only 10 landmines. So what they have done is like, they have placed random landmines of 10 at the different places, and apart from that, what they have done is like, we have the tiffin boxes, they have inverted the tiffin boxes and they have put it on the ground. Like this has given a deception to the enemy, stating that this all of the land belongs to the landmine, but actually the landmine was 10, but how many was there? There were 50 landmines present over there. So this is what we call as military deception with reference to the warfare. Now the next one is with reference to the physical destruction. This you know the best. Physical destruction can assist information warfare by affecting information system elements through destructive power. So what it says means a physical attack range from conventional bomb to electromagnetic pulse weapon. This is one of the most important area where the US or United States may be vulnerable to attack. Now, what are the security measures with reference to cyber warfare? The security measures to keep the adversary from learning about our military capabilities and intentions. Now, this is very important with reference to the current cyber law, why it has been introduced, and with reference to the cyber security, what it is with reference to the cyber terrorism and other potential attack. What it is like what type of information is at risk, with reference to the power delivery, with reference to the communication, aviation, financial services, medical records, and with reference to the criminal records and business plans. So this is with reference to the cyber terrorism and other potential attack. Now see, if at all if you see over here, what type of information is at risk? See, if at all if you remember, like there are many of the rulers who have been killed with any of these things, either with reference to the medical records, or either with reference to the criminal records, or either with reference to the business transaction or business plans, or with reference to their communication, with reference to the recent Nexlite attacks, or with reference to the recent terrorism attacks, or with reference to the 9/11, or with reference to the 26/11. You have seen many of the attacks. How this has been done? This has been done with reference to any of these things which has been compromised. So for that only the reason why cyber terrorism and other potential attacks are been done in this particular things. And if at all if you see, like if at all if you want to study about these particular things, I suggest you to read a book by the name The Hacker's Den, wherein the hackers themselves has explained their experiences with reference to their hacking abilities, and with reference to the what you call as their own personal things, that what they have done and how they have done with reference to the things. If possible, I'll post this textbook after I post this particular video on YouTube. You will get this video, like this textbook, soon after you finish with this session. Okay, I'll try to post this particular book into the group so that you can read this particular book and you'll get an idea how what you call as the hackers have done that particular thing, and what were the psychological things, and what are the interested things that they wanted to do. And also there are many of the novels with reference to the cyber security and hackers. Okay, now I hope you understood something from today's session. If at all if you have any doubt with reference to today's session, you can ping me at rahmat_ali2u@yahoo.com, or we can have a face-to-face conversation or a doubt clarification session with a common intention or a common time for clarification of the doubts. Hope you have understood something. See you in the next session. Thank you for listening to today's session. See you. Thank you.